You ever feel like you have a lot to say, but no idea sort of where to start? I have a paper for once in my life, so I know what I want to have said. And what I want to have started out saying is, hi, I'm the Magpie. And welcome to a talkie video, where I want to talk about why I disappeared from YouTube again. And also talk a little bit about moving forward and tell you about a bunch of things that is sort of happening behind the scenes, and that has been happening behind the scenes because I sort of last year decided to not make a lot of YouTube content, which is something that algorithms have a tendency to punish you for. Peculiar. But yeah, I simply had better things to do. Primarily soldering, but also completing an enormous album undertaking. Kind of a one, because I'm one of a kind. And I would be so happy if you listen to it. So it's up on Bandcamp, it's linked in the description. It's also on Spotify and streaming services, and I put it up here on YouTube just a couple of days ago. And I would love to make a bunch of YouTube content now in regards to this album. So, and we can backtrack a tiny bit in like process type talk here. It's very easy for me to start songs. Comes ultra natural, and it's also something that I enjoy turning into YouTube videos, because I can just grab a thing and then I can do stuff with a thing, or I can have a concept or whatever, and I will just start playing around with it and have a lot of fun, which is easy for me to translate into hopefully an entertaining and inspiring video. However, the process of then continuing and finishing is something that I have a way harder time turning into content. And I have considered live streaming this before, and I have even done it, but I think moving forward I might start live streaming on Twitch, because I might also start live streaming working on Magpie pedal stuff without it sort of being necessarily connected to the YouTube channel, except the fact that I will start off most projects with a video. But more updates in regards to that if and when I start live streaming. But now when I'm done with an album, I am also in a position where I have no idea like really how to content it. I have some ideas, one of them being that I just go into the Cubase projects, because I work in Cubase, sort of deep dive into the projects, and that's where you could come in very handy if you have questions and wonderings that I wouldn't necessarily know that I should talk about at all in regards to these songs. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna structure it where I just go, like, I'm gonna take them in the order. So we start with the first and then we go to the second and the third. So maybe in this comment section, you can comment everything all about track number 1, which is kind of an intro. But you have to listen to it first. And I'm gonna talk about lyrics and blah blah blah, but if you have specifics, or if you have like production type questions, or there's a particular sound you enjoyed, whatever, leave it in the comment section, and that's something that I hope to then address in that video. And another thing that is definitely worth noting when it comes to this album is that I decided to publish it under a CC BY license, short description I may input here, which means that it's 100% sampleable and remixable and whatever. Like you have freedom to do whatever you want with it, because I figured that as the tiny independent person artist that I am, having spent that much time creating this album, I want people to have fun with it. Like, there's no reason for me to even consider, yeah, you should have it. So all power to you to do whatever you want with it. And I'm also considering, and this can work as a pretty good segue, to save down maybe 20 individual tracks from each song. So not actually doing all of them, because it's more fun to like pick out parts and pieces from each track, and then I'm gonna put that on the Patreon, because we have created a Patreon. Continuing the segue beyond the Patreon to then get back to the Patreon, because last year we started a podcast. Me, together with my friend and co-host in the podcast, Analog Weapon. We have created a Patreon for that podcast because we have pretty big ideas. And that's the behind the scenes type stuff that I also want to talk about, where we have been working immensely on the magpiepirates.com website, which is a dedicated website for the Magpie Pirates community, which is a Discord community that I created humbly in my name, which is also linked in the description, where we together on like a monthly basis create several albums together with all kinds of challenges, which I have talked a lot about in previous videos, you know, throughout the years now. But we have this amazing platform of creative people where we would love for you to join in and be a part of that. And now we have been working day and night on a website that's gonna be just upping the game of the Magpie Pirates as well. And we also have another website project that I'm not gonna talk about in this specific video. We have mentioned it on the podcast, but it's a really big undertaking, and it's hopefully gonna be really, really cool. And it's definitely going back in history as far as me and my content and where I started off with YouTube. Hint for some of you maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of ideas tied to this that doesn't really match the influx of capital at the moment. So we're sort of, pouring just our own time and money into it, which is, we're doing it, all of the stuff we're doing is coming from a place of passion, so I don't want to beg for money or anything like that. But if you want to be a part of it and you have a couple of dollars to spare, we have a Patreon now, and we're gonna start, pushing out things that makes it worth it for you as either a passive or an active involvement. Yeah. Anyways, moving back a tiny bit. I have a paper to continue addressing why I haven't made videos very much. It is worth pointing out that it's something that I've done before. I have a tendency to let things run their course, so to speak. A good example might be the bass videos that were sensational that I made with Bassmaster Andreas when I was really on a high. Like we did a bunch of videos with silly bass experiments. I just like to focus on something for a while, but whenever it starts feeling not as inspiring anymore, I don't want to continue doing things purely for the two main reasons people make YouTube stuff or interact with social media. It's like fame or notoriety and money, and sadly none of those two are very inspiring to me creatively, if that makes sense. I still really enjoy the interaction with people, and I definitely need money to survive, so that's a thing. But when I started the Magpie Pedals, sort of the labor shift has shifted to something where I just enjoy working with my hands and coming up with these ideas, and I am now starting to turn it into more content. So I'm gonna make a video of starting from scratch with designing a pedal, and I'm gonna try to come up with just a ton of ideas where I sort of smash these two things together. But as I was saying, I like to let things run their course and then focus on something that is the inspiring and letting me be creative where I want to be creative right now aspect of life and creative output. So I have very consciously never turned my channel into marketing, like a marketing channel where I review gear and get free products or anything like that. I'm simply trying to navigate in a space where you're supposed to do stuff, and what you're supposed to do is constantly shifting also, which is it just is what it is. But I am notorious when it comes to just, sticking my heels in the ground. Is that the saying or whatever? And just, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do. So I do what I want to do. And it's very punishing, but it's, as far as like numbers and stuff like that goes, but it's very, very rewarding for my creativity. So it's something that I'm gonna continue doing, and this is not complaining or anything of that sort. I don't think it came across as complaining, but just saying it really isn't. I'm just stating how it is and how it works. So there will be periods, most likely, where I simply don't make videos because I'm focused on other things. And I think personally it results in a lot of great stuff. Like if you listen to my album. But that said, I definitely feel like now I'm definitely getting back into a mind space where I want to make videos. And funny enough, one or two of you might remember that like a year ago or more, I made a video where I said that I want to make an album from scratch in YouTube videos. And that is not the album that I output now. Kind of a one. So I already have a second album that I have started a bunch of projects on, and I'm trying to think of ways to do the sort of the continue working, turning that into YouTube videos or anything of the sort. So I think that's where I'm leaning towards live streaming instead, and maybe, I don't know, starting a new third album or just doing videos in regards to maybe giving more collab challenges for the Magpie Pirates and creating sample packs and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely feel like, ooh, yes. Because I also just redid my entire setup. Cable management. So if you want to, I could also make a studio tour. And then you could make a studio tour. And we put that on the Magpie Pirates YouTube channel, which you should go and subscribe to if you aren't. Anyone can make content for that. That is a part of the magpiepirates.com website. But yeah, it's this, whenever you're done with like a big project, or at least for me, I feel like, yeah, this just revival of energy or whatever, because yeah, the end and the finishing of a big, at least for me, music project or any other project is so energy consuming and so mind consuming. There's so much thinking involved with, is this mix done, and am I happy most of the time, and other thoughts. So as soon as that's completed, I just, it's such a breathing room type scenario for me. So I'm just gonna start making videos again. Probably going back in time and doing like a bunch of circuit bending and stuff like that as well, which I really feel like getting back into. It's been a good while since I circuit bent. So some of you are gonna be happy about that as well. I guess to sum it up, I'm just